Coming up on today's video, some cards you might want to get your hands on. Well, you still can. Hi everyone, welcome back. MTG Moxman here. If you're new to my channel and you found me on YouTube, welcome aboard. I hope you enjoy this content today. And of course, for all my regular viewers, welcome back everyone. I hope you are just having a fantastic day because you deserve it. You know it's true. So in today's video, we're looking at some cards you may want to get your hands on. I've noticed either an uptick in sales or I have a conversation to go along with the cards I've chosen today. So let's step into that realm. And by the way, leave comments, leave some stuff down for me to let me know what you think about the choices that were made, or maybe a few that I missed. I'd love to hear from everyone, of course, in the comment section. So let's take a look. Although I'm going to call it card number one, they don't have an order. So card number one, which is not in any order, is Jeweled Lotus. Now this came from Commander Legends, don't forget that. And in Commander Legends, these were a lot harder to get than people thought they would be. I remember doing a video and saying this was going to be a $25 card, $50 card at tops. Now, the lowest I can find in Canada is $100. You can see the average sale of 80, 75, 73. You can see it here on the market. And this is taken from MTG stocks. And although I'm not a financial advisor, I look at it this way. It's a hard to get card. It's usable in Commander, which is one of the most played formats out there. This card is a first printing. It's the first time it's been out. And Commander Legends isn't really being cracked at all anymore. So Commander Legends boxes, that's a whole other story. Those cards are going to go up as well. They are going to hit a higher level than what people realize. But on the same hand, the people who do have Jeweled Lotuses and maybe have got a few extra, you might want to keep those babies, hold on to them, because we don't know what the years will do to a card like this. The potential upswing of a zero casting cost artifact in Commander is just massive. Even if you don't use it for your Commander, there's lots of artifacts with affinity that love to have cards like this in play. So I've got to say it's a keeper, and if you don't have one yet, get it now before the price starts to rise. You can see it's really dipped down nicely. It's a good buy for me to kind of grab these kind of things. Now the ones I got for the Jeweled Lotus, I opened those in packs, right? When I opened Commander Legends. Now, I just haven't gotten rid of mine. I've held on to them and I plan on holding them. I need at least one for a deck. And of course, the other ones can be used for other things later on, like trade value, or possibly even selling when they start to rise and using it as a quick flip. Remember, speculative flips are about 5 years or less, guys. So a card that's already at $100 now, who knows where it'll be in a few years. I don't expect them to reprint it, and it was hard to get inside all the boxes. So good card to keep an eye on. Make sure you're paying attention. Now, the next card I want to show you all is going to be Ragavan. Now, Ragavan's pretty awesome. He already is an amazing card. I loved him as soon as I saw him. And in Modern Horizons 2, although this is a first printing of him, Modern Horizons 3, we all know, will not have him again in a regular set series. He'll become a centerpiece for them to make money off of, to be in special sets. They're going to make this boy work for them. Now, I love him because he works with Mox Amber, of course, and the fact that I can use Mox Amber, dash this guy out, I can cast him for one, activate Mox Amber right away, he's amazing. He is a funky monkey. I like this guy. Now, at $96 Canadian, I understand that's quite a bit of money, but think about all those bulk junk rares for a buck or two that you have, and getting a Ragavan becomes very possible, and the flip value, the upside of him later on is a lot higher than most people realize when you know he's not coming around. Can we say Force of Negation, guys? See where I'm going with this? He's an amazing card, so keep an eye out for him. If you see him at good trade value, if you see him lowered down a little bit, it could be a really good buy. Now our next card is going to be Rogoth, Son of Rogoth, all right? Now, this guy's worth nothing. He's a $2 card. You can get the full art foils and stuff, the Pringle cards, for like $7, $8. He is not a lot of money, okay? But my point of this guy is not the fact of the card itself. It is the zero casting cost legendary creature. When you think about things that activate, things that require legendary like Mox Amber, he plays for 0 and Mox Amber activates right away. So cards like this, if Wizards made him, Rogoth, Son of Rogoth, who knows what else they'll make that is a 1 or 2 casting cost legendary creature that will be really epic. This guy's an uncommon. He's nothing amazing unto himself. But when you can put out a land, pop him into play, put on a spear of Shadow Spear and stuff, right? When you start putting a lot of things on him, he can become really disgusting really quick. I love this card. Although I've not built a deck with him yet, it's definitely on my hit list of things to do. And it's the idea what Wizards has done. It shows you what they can do or possibly do in the future. You never know what cards will become broken or an upset until later on when you see what cards they connect with it in the future. A lot of times this has happened with reserve list cards, but there's nothing saying it can't happen to broken cards like him that cost 0 to get into play. Truly something to think about when you look at 0 casting cost and 1 casting cost legendary items, okay? Just to keep your eye out. It's not that he's an expensive card, it's the idea behind that card that draws me in. Now our next card is going to be Cavern of Souls. Now, ever since Cavern of Souls came out in Avacyn Restored, it was just amazing for my Sliver deck. I loved it right away. I shoved it into the deck. It was amazing. But here's what's funny. You see how it used to be a pretty low card. Then they didn't print it, didn't come back right away. And when it's printed, it's only in special sets now. Wizards knows what they have when they made this card. So at $100 Canadian, that's the cheapest I could find with shipping and taxes. This card is not really going to go down much further. It may dip the odd time when they print these premier sets or put it in a list card, but it's so minuscule. Really, it's minuscule compared to what could be out there, and it's only rare when the original printing came out. That, let's face it, this card is highly desirable from all kinds of formats and sets, guys. So Cavern of Souls, if you can afford to trade in for one, I would get one now, because cards like this, Wizards wants to be premier cards. They want the value to be high, they want the equity to be worth something, and they will make sure it stays there. They want you to want it. So if you haven't got one now, it might be something to grab into before it just becomes too expensive and unattainable for people later on. I don't know where it's going, but the slow uprise of it and the amount of sales I'm seeing in so many different places, as well as locally and internationally, tell me that this card is not going to settle down anytime soon. And the prices just seem to keep ecking up a bit that it bothers me. So I would recommend getting it sooner rather than later. Now our next card we're going to talk about today is going to be Collector Oomph. Now, Collector Oomph only came out in Modern Horizons. And for this week, $8 Canadian card. His ability is mind-altering when played the right way. His activated abilities of artifacts cannot be activated. And he's 2 for a 2/2. He can slow down some very vicious decks. He can stop some major cards right away. This guy has a lot going for him. Now, he's only been printed in Modern Horizons. I don't expect him to be coming around anytime soon. So this is one of those cards that can slowly rise up. You can see he's already seeing a slight uptick, and that's as the supply dwindles out, it's being forced up slowly over time. It is something to keep an eye out, and really, why not get a playset for $35, $36 and just call it a day and hold on to those cards in case you need them later on. I mean, he gets played a lot. It's something to compare. Collector Oomph, you're just an awesome card in so many ways. Now, our next card is the Brand of Ill Omen. Now, 4 casting cost, yes, it has a cumulative upkeep of 1 red, but think about it. Target creature's controller cannot cast summon spells. How many decks would that mess up? Not being able to play creature cards. Not being able to get out some big beasties. This is a very affordable card. Reserve list, not coming back anytime soon. And it's just the price being so low. Now, it jumped up and kind of went back down. I think I would wait for this to settle down and just buy a playset as a cheap reserve list card that could possibly have uses later. Remember, there's lots of ways of bringing enchantments back that you can just put them back into your hand and keep using this card over and over if it becomes a problem. But the idea of a card being this cheap that can basically freeze certain decks in place really makes me a happy camper at a very minimal cost. It's just something to think about. I can just see an upswing depending on what Wizards prints in the future. So for that reason, I put her on the list. Our next card is going to be Peacekeeper. Now, Peacekeeper is reserve list. It's $45 Canadian, is the cheapest one I could find. But it's an amazing card, of course. 1 white, 2 other. It's a 1/1 from Weatherlight, but during your upkeep, pay 1 white, 1 other, or bury the Peacekeeper. Creatures cannot attack. Let me repeat that again. Creatures cannot attack! Depending on the type of deck you're building, I had this in Vision one time with like Moat, Tabernacle, all these anti-creature stopping things just to freeze somebody in their tracks. That could be so much fun to play. But in this case, as an emergency showstopper, a card just to put people out there, it could be a lot of fun to have a card like this around in a commander deck just to mess with people. The cost is not bad. It is going to continue to climb. Let's face it, Weatherlight cards, they're not opening any more boxes anymore, right? Whatever's out there is out there now. Finding a mint condition one for around that $45 mark is something to think about. And it has so many uses, and the artwork's epic. So for that reason, I've put the Peacekeeper on the list. Now our next card we are going to talk about today is Pendrell Miss. Now I talked about this card when it was a $3 card. It has come a long way since 2020 when I first mentioned it on the channel. Again, it stops creatures. It's an enchantment, so it's a little bit harder to deal with, a little more niche for a lot of decks nowadays, and put into the right deck in blue, or a blue combination color deck in a commander deck. This has a lot of uses, and depending on how it's played, could be really deadly. $24 Canadian for a near mint copy, and you can see there, the price has kind of gone up and down, but it's on a real downward trend. Just wait the next 30, 60 days, see if it continues to drop, and then grab some for around that $10 mark if it goes that far. If it goes cheap, why not pick a few up just to hold on to? I mean, it's an upward card that's going to be bought out again in the near future. So for that reason, Pendrell Miss is on here, and it has upswing. Unlike a lot of cards, this one actually has a lot of uses too. For forecasting, come on. Now, our next card is going to be Tolarian Academy. Now, at $110 Canadian for a heavily played copy, that's a pretty amazing card. Locally, I found it as high as $180 to $220 depending on condition. And of course, on eBay, TCG Player, you'll find varying levels of condition and cost. But a card right now that's banned, of course the price is being suppressed. It is reserve list. It's not coming back. Some people don't care. They use it in their playgroups any way they see fit because they're choosing to use the rules they think apply to them. But when you look at this card and you realize if they do unban it, and Wizards unban stuff all the time. Remember Time Vault as a kid, they banned it saying it was too powerful. Then they unbanned it years later, Voltaic Key combo, and it's fine. It happens. So why wouldn't they unban it? They may not allow it to go into, say, Commander. Who knows, though? Times change. Cards get power shifted up and down. If it suits Wizards' purpose, they will unban cards just to make things look good. Tolarian Academy is that kind of prime candidate. The price is dipped down. I think it's going to fall a little bit further than what it is now. And when it settles, be smart. Grab yourselves a copy. I know I would. Oh, wait, I already have a few. But I definitely would think about getting more if the price dropped a little further. So for that reason, Tolarian Academy is definitely on this list. Now let's go to the last card on the list today. Serra's Sanctum. Now Serra's Sanctum, when I bought it, it was $205 Canadian. And in 2020 of August, it was only $125. This card has continued to climb as more auras and enchantments come into play, as more commander players branch out and use more spells. It's driving cards like this up. It hasn't really fallen far like some of the other cards on this list, but let's face it, it can't come back. It represents Serra's Realm. It's an amazing card, amazing artwork. It has lots of uses still. So for that reason, it's on the list. But not only that, this card is going to continue to rise. It's not really going to get cheaper than that $200 level. I just don't see it happening myself. I only see an upward swing over the years to come. For cards like this, these kind of mana suppliers that can just give you so much mana based on certain types of things you have in play. And I do expect Wizards at some point to try to find alternatives, add-ons, to accentuate what these cards can do. Keep an eye out for it because it's probably going to happen at some point sooner rather than later. Wizards knows what cards people like, and they like to exploit that by building alternative versions to these reserve list cards, which actually force these cards higher. So it's something really to keep your eye out for. So for that reason, that's why it's on the list. It really is something when you see a list like this and you realize the upswing, the possibilities of what cards can do when other cards come out. We don't know with new cards what's going to happen. Like Jeweled Lotus, you can't be certain. But we know it's hard to get. We know it wasn't in every box. There's certain facts you can feature in. You know Wizards wants it to have value. Wizards doesn't like when cards like this fail, so they could print more zero casting cost or low casting cost items to bump up the importance of a card like Jeweled Lotus. That's something you always have to keep your eye out for if you're going to be doing buying and selling, is that possibility of what cards could do. The possibility of cards becoming unbanned, the future value of cards. It's something I really enjoy doing. I'm really glad everyone took the time to watch the video today. Thanks a lot, guys. I look forward to seeing the comments in the comments section. And of course, I hope everyone here has an amazing day because we all deserve it. Don't forget to bring a friend to Magic because it's a great time out there when Magic the Gathering's around. Have a great one. Hey everyone, big shout out of course to all my patrons out there. Patrons make this world spin round and round for me. They make the channel possible. Thank you very much to all my patrons. Thank you very much. Guys, have a great one. I'll see you on Sunday. Okay. I cannot tell you guys how much I messed up this video. I cannot tell you how many edits I had to go through to fix things. I was using horrible terminology and I just kept doing it. I don't know what was in my brain, but it was like tapioca pudding. It just kept oozing out and I couldn't fix it. It was horrible. So much time. Just certain words, even though I knew not to say it, it kept coming up again. So bad. Oh, but here we are at the end. You made it. You deserve a reward. You do. Let's do a reward. How about Cetacean Champion? Something went in the 10K box. Pay attention, guys. Have a great one, man. I hope your Friday's awesome.